What's up, loves? How are you? So excited to spend this time with you today, and actually so honored to spend this time with you today. I just want to take a moment to really celebrate and acknowledge you all for opting into Premier Club. Like, way to freaking step in to your vision, your dreams, way to step into your CEO shoes even more fully. Thank you so much for showing up. So inspired by every single one of you, truly. For those of you who I haven't met yet, my name is Casey von Eiterstein, and I have recorded this in advance for a couple of reasons. One, because I'm based in the US, right outside of Boston, Massachusetts, if you know anyone in the US. And then two, because we're going to be walking through some exercises that will require you to pause the video so you don't feel rushed through your answers and you can really take time to like sink in and make it an intentional situation. If you're on my team, you're probably already very familiar with these types of exercises. So cool. There's a couple things that you'll need. You'll need something to write with. So if you don't have a notebook and a pen in front of you, have your computer with Evernote, something open so you can jot notes. And then also I've included a Dropbox link up at the top of this post. So hop in there and there's going to be a couple handouts and some other fun things that you'll need as we go through these exercises. So just take a moment, pause, do that now if you don't have them in front of you already. And then next, before we officially dive in, I'm assuming we all have oils in front of us because crazy oil humans up in the building. So just feel free to either roll or drop some in the palms of your hands, rub them together, and then cup them over your nose and your mouth, taking some deep inhales. And while you're breathing and anchoring in, just use this as a moment to feel the energetic shift from the activity you were doing before this to the present moment in this activity that you're doing right now. And then just also anchor into your intentions for the call. How do you want to show up? Is there anything specific that you're looking to gain from listening to this and working through these exercises? And then once you've given yourself a few moments to do that, open back up your eyes. Here we are. So it may seem kind of funny to be talking about self-care for dōTERRA business owners. dōTERRA, ooh, I have a nice little accent today. Self-care for dōTERRA business owners, the same week that gorgeous Christina is walking us through her epic placements and comp plans, strategies, and pointers. But to me, both financial abundance and holistic health are in fact wealth. So I'm kind of thinking of this week as like our wealth management week in Premier Club. Let's just manage our wealth from all angles. Okay, cool. So now diving into self-care. I'm not really going to cover self-care the way you may think about self-care. Like, we're not talking about face masks and bubble baths, which, by the way, both of those things are amazing, and I hope you're doing them anyway. But this is more about identifying the areas of your life that could use self-care rituals integrated into them to boost them up, and then creating a personalized strategy to get you there. So this is something that we talk about with our customers on the daily, right? But it's really important to remind ourselves that self-care isn't selfish. This is one of the things that I hear the most from people. When I talk about self-care rituals, talk about mindfulness, essential oils, all these things, I don't have time for self-care, or self-care is selfish, are the two things that I hear the most. But it's not. Because when we practice consistent self-care, we feel so much more nourished from the inside out, and we are able to show up more fully and more wholly for the people in our lives, which is so important because we are in the business of selling self-care. And we want our friends and family and community, not only just as from a benefit of us being in this business, but from a benefit of our continued dedication to showing up for ourselves. We want all of those people to benefit as a result of that. So whenever people tell me that they feel like they have no time for self-care or that self-care is selfish, my guess is either that person isn't consciously managing their energy and or they don't have the proper personal boundaries in place to give themselves that time and space that they're feeling like they don't have for their self-care. So this is something that we're gonna focus on both of those things today. And in the business world, there's a lot of talk about effective time management, but there's a lot less talk about intentional energy management. And both of them are super important and they definitely go in hand, but we actually have much more personal control over how we utilize our energy because we can't physically stop the clock, but we can decide what to focus on. So we're taking that power back. Let's take that power back right now. We can control what we focus on. There is no one else in the world who can decide where we place our energy. So basically, today we're going to be taking inventory of your life as it is right now, and then matching that up against your vision of your ideal life. And then from there, we'll create simple, consistent, nourishing habits to close the gap between those places. So we're going to go from point A to point B. And by the way, we're all beautifully unique, which is the best thing about the human race and the world in general. So it really wouldn't be helpful for me to walk you through my personal self-care rituals, though if you have questions about them, feel free to post them in the comments below and I'm happy to share. But I would much rather spend this time today exploring the key areas of your individual life that are asking you for some attention and energy, and then connecting in deeper with yourself to design your life based on how you want to feel. All right, so back to wealth management, because we're really talking about wealth management today. I like to think of this concept of the bank of well-being. So this is kind of what we're investing in today. This is where we're placing our money, because our time and our energy is our truest form of currency. The term spending your time, when you think about it, that's really literal. You're spending your time. Like if you're allocating time and therefore energy to a specific thing, that's time you can't get back because you can't reverse that clock. So let's kind of create a fun little game around this. I always love like a visual kind of, a visual structure around concepts like this, because then it's easy for me to anchor back into that throughout the day if I'm feeling like I'm falling off track. So think about waking up every single morning. Every day you wake up, you have $100 to spend. And each one of those dollars equals 1 unit of your personal energy. You only have 100 of them to spend in a day. So where you place your attention determines how and where your money is invested. Imagine you have like this little stockbroker spirit guide that's following you around 24/7 and ensuring that your energetic investments are allocated according to where what you're spending your energy doing. Because basically, no matter what you're doing, the things that you're spending your time and energy on are the things that are creating your future reality, whether you're consciously doing them or unconsciously doing them. By spending your time and energy on them, you are, by default, nurturing those things in your life. So those things just grow. They continue to grow. So your stockbroker spirit guide's got that under control for you. You don't need to worry about allocating your investments. She's up there just doing just that. So by the way, this is why my personal mantra for myself that I'm always replaying in my head is do your future self a favor, because it really helps me anchor back into the moment and how I want to feel, and then realign myself with the choice that will best serve me. So if I'm like, oh my God, that next glass of wine might taste delicious, but I'll feel like shit tomorrow, I can be like, Casey, do your future self a favor. Grab a glass of water, hydrate yourself. You're going to feel amazing. This can go with anything. This can go with spending 5 more minutes scrolling Instagram. This can, I mean, anything. You know, the list goes on. I don't need to continue to rattle them off for you. But if that mantra also serves you, feel free to borrow it. Do your future self a favor. Realignment in the moment every time. Okay, so now that we've talked about the Bank of Wellbeing and our stockbroker spirit guide, we're going to talk about boundaries now, because this is a really, really important factor when we're thinking about self-care. So to stay kind of within this metaphor, the Bank of Well-Being, our energetic investments, imagine your personal boundaries being like the password to unlock your online investment portfolio. So this is where you can go into your account, see how your investments are growing, see what your spirit guide stockbroker is putting stuff in, and kind of monitoring the process. You can take money out, put money in whenever you want. If you don't set clear boundaries with yourself and the people in your life, you may as well just be putting up billboards all around the town with your login details to your online investment portfolio so that anyone, no matter who they are, can hop in there and withdraw your money or move your investments around however they like. Because boundaries really help you determine the things that you say an energetic yes and an energetic no to day in and day out. And we can design those boundaries based on how we personally want to feel, which is amazing. Like we have full control over this. Sorry, my voice is cracking, I get excited. So energetically speaking, when you have boundaries, you're constantly prioritizing your own well-being and you're operating from a place of self-worth and abundance. But when you have a lack of boundaries, you're operating from a place of fear and scarcity. And from my personal experience, you're probably also operating from a place of codependency and people pleasing, because when I used to think that boundaries were really hard, it was just because I cared so much about what other people thought of me. And it really just straight up came down to that. And once I dropped that and started putting my well-being above what other people may or may not think of me, boundaries were very easy to just put right into place. So when we're talking about the energy of boundaries being like abundance and self-worth, and lack of boundaries being fear and scarcity, it's important to kind of think of this in the lens of quantum physics, right? This is a universal law that says like attracts like. So if you're looking to magnetize more abundance into your life, boundaries are where it's freaking at. But if you'd rather live in a state of fear and scarcity and you want to magnetize more of that into your life, then just keep rocking on with your boundaryless life. You know what I mean? When you think about it that way, you're like, boundaries are a no-brainer. So remember this too. You're a creative being, and every single thing is a choice. The way you think is a choice. The way you feel is a choice. The things you do are a choice. And that is like at its core, one of like the deepest levels of personal empowerment. Remembering that you have a choice no matter what is running through your head, what you're physically doing, how you're being. So if you're worried about letting other people down, just remind yourself that you're setting boundaries to protect your energy, and that in turn allows you to show up more fully for others when they need your support. Fostering deep connection with yourself gives you the ability to connect more deeply with others, and when you take your health and happiness into your own hands, you literally become a beacon of light and hope for everyone you come into contact with. And since we are in the business of selling self-care, and selling a vision and embodiment of a better way of living, this is like one of the best things you can not only do for your personal well-being, but for your business. Because at the end of the day, this is a business program, is it not? Okay, cool. So now we're going to start walking into the exercises. This is where it gets fun. This is where we start designing things. So hop into that Dropbox link if you haven't already, and open the handout that says Lifeline. Now, if you're like kind of like a pen and paper type of person, which I kind of like to do with this, feel free to pause this and print it out. But if not, just feel free to kind of like draw this on a piece of paper and make the dots in the appropriate places. So as you look through the Lifeline handout, work through each one of the columns one by one, and then choose a number from 1 through 10, 10 being the highest, for how satisfied you feel with that particular area of your life. And these are kind of, if any of you have been through like a health coach training program, this is a tool that I used to use with my health coaching clients. If you went to IIN, you might be familiar with the circle of life. This is very similar to that. So basically this Lifeline, which maybe I should actually just pull it up and share it with you. Hold on. Here she is. So this Lifeline is really made up of the different pillars that create holistic health and happiness, which is really what we're working towards. So feel free to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest as you go through each one of these. And I'm guessing you might want to kind of pause this as you go through so you can really feel into each one of them intentionally. All right, I'm going to stop sharing that because I know you guys all have it in front of you. By the way, as you're going through this, it's really important to remember that there's zero place for self-judgment or regrets here. It's really just about self-honesty. So if there's things you wish you'd done differently in the past, that's truly just amazing. It's just good information to have. I'm always looking at these types of, I'm looking at everything all the time through a lens of curiosity instead of a lens of judgment. Curiosity lends itself to an open heart and mind. Judgment lends itself to a very closed heart and mind and a very narrow way of thinking. So open up to curiosity. Don't get down on yourself. As you're moving through each one of these, if you know you've really energetically neglected certain areas of this, that's cool, because we're just moving forward. We're not going backwards. So take a moment. If you are feeling judgments about yourself or you are feeling regrets, just interrupt those thoughts just as they're happening. Take a moment to forgive yourself if you've invested your energy poorly in the past, and then just keep it moving onwards and upwards. Okay, so I'm assuming that you've already paused this and you've already gone through. So I'm just going to keep going instead of pausing to give you time. So at the end, if you've kind of drawn this out the way that the Lifeline, or if you've filled in the Lifeline as it is, if you've drawn it out in this sort of columned way, then you're going to be able to connect the dots between each one of the pillars. And then you're going to see kind of like a line graph representation of where you are on your Lifeline. And these are kind of the pillars of self-care when you think about it. Also, interestingly, to stay with our investment wealth metaphor, this is going to end up kind of looking like if you're going into your online investment portfolio and you're tracking the progress of stocks, but instead of just watching one, you're going to see more of a holistic view of your whole life and how your stocks are performing in each one of these areas. Cool. So now that you've seen that and you've connected the dots, there are 3 journal prompts that I want you to walk through for every single one of these. Every single one of these that isn't out of 10. I don't know if I have any of these out of 10. Maybe some of you have these out of 10. If so, tell us your secrets below. Hell yeah. Okay, so what you're going to want to do, 3 journal prompts for each one of these columns. What would make this score a 10? Number 2, what do I need to stop doing to raise this score? And number 3, what do I need to start doing to raise this score? So I'll give you a moment to pause, walk through those questions, and then start the play button again when you're ready. Okay, assuming you're all coming back from a pause. So now that you have that information, perfect. We've got your lifeline ready to go. A beautiful visual representation of what areas need TLC in your life right now. So now that you can clearly see the areas of your life that are asking for the most of your attention, you can consciously design a super simple, nourishing action plan to ensure you are the most skilled investor in the frickin' game moving forward. So check your answers to the above 3 questions for clues as to which daily rituals would benefit you most right now. I'm sure that when you were answering what would make the score a 10, what do I need to stop doing, what do I need to start doing, you're probably listing out specific things you can stop and start doing. So those are really going to help form your action plan. Because it's really, like we're talking about the compound effect now, and it's really about the simple things that we do and invest our energy in every single day that add up to huge results in the long run. It's just like we tell our customers about their oils and their products, because it's all about the compound effect. Yes, you can use an oil once and find relief of your symptoms in the moment, but if you want to reap long-term benefits and you really want to help resolve the root of the problem and bring your body back into a true state of homeostasis, it's about consistency. So same for us, same for all the different things we do to nourish ourselves in terms of self-care. Consistency is the name of the game because the compound effect. We're just building, little step by little step by little step. By the way, also in the Dropbox folder, there is something called the self-love schedule, which is also something I used to use with my holistic health coaching clients. And if you're the type of person who likes a little more structure around things, feel free to also leverage that. That has some buckets of like the most common areas of self-care that people need to put more energy into to kind of get themselves into feeling more nourished and back into a state of wholeness. So feel free to use that, because that will help you kind of define your why around why you need to do it. And then it's also going to help you determine how frequently you're going to practice that and then scheduling it. I physically schedule my self-care in my calendar just as I would business meetings or other important events, because to me they're non-negotiable. And ever since I started doing that, everything changed. Every single thing changed. Like I used to have chronic anxiety. I used to be a chronic people pleaser. I spent my life like twitching and riddled and blah, blah, blah. But now that I prioritize, because I think about the way that I want to feel, right? I want to feel strong. I want to feel flexible. I want to feel resilient. I want to feel spacious. I want to feel open and receptive instead of reactive. And so when I think about those things, I'm like, what are the things that I need to do every single day to get there? So for me, movement, exercise, non-negotiable. Meditation, mindfulness practice, non-negotiable. Journaling, connecting with my intuition, connecting in with my oils every single morning, pulling oracle cards, tarot cards if it feels right. All of those things are really important for me to achieve those desired feeling states. So that's kind of, if in case that helps you frame what you're thinking about, what you want to start integrating into your days more or doing more consistently, maybe that will give you kind of a little coloring around it. Okay, so next I have a fun little daily exercise for you to do. And when we're talking about scheduling things, this is a great thing to schedule. So it's an AM and PM self-check-in. The AM check-in I like to put in my calendar, appreciate. And so that's every single morning or at the same time. It's great to have it for right around the time that you wake up. So the first thing that happens when you finally, if you put your phone on airplane mode at night like I do, when you finally take your phone off airplane mode, and all the things start rushing in, that's the first thing that pops up on your screen. So the appreciate reminder, I was at a loss for that word for a minute. You're going to ask yourself 2 questions with that. How do I intend to spend my energy today? And what do I feel grateful for right now? How do I intend to spend my energy today starts you off operating intentionally from the get-go, which is so important when we're thinking about our energetic investments. You're waking up in that morning with that $100, that 100 units of energy to spend for the day. So thinking about how you're going to spend them is really important. And then what do I feel grateful for right now is also equally as important, because being in a state of gratitude, if anyone else is a Joe Dispenza fan, freak, obsessor, gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. It means that what you desire is already in your life. So the more you can feel gratitude, the more you will actually magnetize your desires towards you. So those 2 things. And you know what? These are in the Dropbox folder too, so you don't need to write these down right now. I'll just pop them in there so they're really easy. And then your PM reminder, and this is a great thing to do around the time that you turn your phone off for the night, because I'm assuming that these are going to be popping up on your phone. And this one, so the morning is appreciate, the nighttime one is marinate. So you're just going to marinate in how the day went. So your 3 questions for the marinate. How did I spend my energy today? Because you intended in the morning. How did you spend your energy? The next one is, what could go better tomorrow? So this is just self-honesty. Again, no judgment, no regrets. This is, we're just moving forward. We're being resilient. We're moving forward. We're learning as we go. That's all it is. And then the 3rd question, what can I celebrate and feel grateful for? So gratitude. We're sandwiching gratitude into our days. I hope those really serve you. And so just to bring this fully back down to our businesses, I have a few closing questions for you. The first one, how, and by the way, these are also in the Dropbox, so don't stress about writing them down. But feel free to pause after each one of these to give yourself a sec to answer them. How do you want your customers to feel as a result of using dōTERRA oils and products? Pause, answer. Okay, number 2. How do you want your customers to feel as a result of their choice to enroll with you as their mentor in dōTERRA? Pause, answer. As a follow-up to both of these questions, reviewing these feeling states that you've kind of just outlined as the answers of the 2 above this, what simple daily actions are you taking to ensure that you are radiating these qualities out to the world? And how can you leverage your or more of your dōTERRA products and educational resources to live a fuller expression of this vision for both yourself and your community? Because at the end of the day, I know I've said this like 5,000 times, but we're truly in the business of selling self-care. So if we are not radiating self-care, if we are not radiating nourishment and vitality, then we'd be hard-pressed to find a lot of people who are going to come to us seeking these things. So in order to not only be just like a successful, joyful, vibrant human, but then also have a thriving, successful dōTERRA business, it's important that we are leveraging the absolute crap out of our oils, our lifelong vitality, our digestives, I mean, everything. We have everything at our fingertips, and it's all right here. And by the way, the other cool thing is when we are using these beautiful, beautiful gifts of the earth to nourish ourselves, we also can take time every single time we do that to, if I want to learn more about, and I do this all the time, if I want to learn more about rose and have more to say about rose and I'm using it in that moment, I'll just like whip out a couple books and I'll read up on rose and I'll be like, oh, cool. So like, this is really what this is doing for me right now. And I'll commit that to memory. And then a lot of times I'll actually hop on social media and teach people about that just openly to cement that more in my memory. So when you're using your dōTERRA products for self-care, you can also use that as an opportunity to expand your knowledge and competency, easy for me to say, in your business. All right, anyway, my loves, I hope this really helps you start being very shrewd, energetic investors to grow the areas of your life that could use some more love and for you to feel just generally more cared for, more badass, more on top of your game, and more freaking joyful. And don't forget to have fun along the way. Self-care doesn't have to be serious. I think of self-care as very playful and fun And yeah, it makes you more resilient when you think about it that way. So anyway, I think I've taken up enough of your time. I really hope this benefits. And any questions, please feel free to pop them in the comments below. Okay, love you all. Thank you so much. Mwah.